I'm going to teach you how to make spaghetti sauce today. A little bit of background, I've been making spaghetti sauce for a million years. Well, it seems like it, but I started out cooking for the track team at San Jose State and moved on to hosting a party every January where a lot of my feedSCV colleagues have come and enjoyed. So when COVID hit, we decided, well, we need to teach everybody else how to make this sauce. So for the first time, we are going to debut the Mama Rocks spaghetti sauce recipe. So let's get started. I pared it down to a recipe that feeds, from anywhere from 2 to 10 people, depending on what you have in your household. And we start out with, I started with 2 pounds of ground beef, which I'm going to put into this, sizzly hot pot. Kudos to my stage manager. We'll put that back there. And we're basically just going to brown the meat. We're going to break it down into little pieces and let it brown. We're not going to cook it hard. It's not going to be crispy, but I'm going to pull it over here just for a second, just to break it down so that it can cook evenly. Usually I do this in a frying pan, a large frying pan, and I'm constantly going back and forth, chopping, mixing, making sure that it gets mixed in with the oil that it generates. I usually use an 80-20 blend. The 80, I'm not quite sure what the 80-20 means, but it gets a little bit fatty. But it makes for really good spaghetti sauce. So we're going to let that cook a little bit. And what I do is I use canned tomatoes. These are chopped. But I'm going to chop it a little bit more because what I want to happen is for my sauce to be a little bit chunky. So we're going to give this just a real quick one so that there are still chunks in the tomato sauce, which we'll be adding to, as you will see in a moment. And we're going to put that in a pot. This will be the magic pot where everything goes. And we do that all 3 times. It was interesting when I was writing the recipe last night. I usually cook this for 100 people, so downsizing it was a little bit difficult. But anything for our Santa Clarita foodie family. And yes, I'm wearing a white shirt because it's a personal challenge to do tomato sauce and white shirt at the same time. And here we go with the last one. So you see you're pulsing it for you're running it just for less than a minute, but you're leaving some nice chunks of the tomato in there. Now what you can do if you're making it on a large scale, you can mix tomato sauce, canned tomato sauce with chunk tomatoes, with whole tomatoes. Depends on what your, thank you, what your family likes. And what I do also is I mix in some tomato paste just to give it a little bit more body and the piquantness of the tomato. You'll see by the time we're done that there's going to be a lot of different flavors in this, and it's going to be so yummy. My grandkids actually love this stuff, and if you told them what was in it, they wouldn't eat it. So you'll see how that goes. So we're just going to mix in that tomato paste. This will all get together better when it's on the heat, but right now we're going to check the meat, which is browning. And what I do is throw in, and I don't measure exactly, so maybe about 6 or 7 shakes of some Lea & Perrins or whatever your Worcestershire sauce that you use. Livens up the meat just a little bit. We're going to take mushrooms. This is 2 containers, the little 8-ounce containers, so it's a pound of mushrooms that we've cleaned up a bit. The good thing about this sauce is that this is the perfect way to get your family to eat vegetables. Some people don't like mushrooms. By the time this sauce is done, the mushrooms will have cooked into the texture of the sauce, and you won't be able to see them if you don't like mushrooms. If you love mushrooms, this is the best sauce for you. So we're going to add mushrooms. One of the things I put in there that, again, my family doesn't know or didn't know for until they saw this video was peppers. We don't put green peppers in because, I don't put green peppers in because the flavor is so strong. And if you don't like green peppers, there is absolutely no way to hide that taste. But I do use the sweet peppers, the yellow, the orange, and the red, and we chop those up too. And we mix those in. We take an onion, because everybody loves onion, right? We give those a good chop. The one vegetable that my family absolutely did not want to eat, but I absolutely love, is zucchini. Full of vitamins, very tasty. Fried is not the only way to eat it. And if food is flying all over your kitchen, you know you're having fun. And this goes into your stew pot. I'm pretty sure that meat is done, so we're going to take that and I'm going to take a slotted spoon and separate it from the grease. You see that the meat's a nice even shade of brown, not crispy, but it's cooked through. It's okay if you get just a little bit of the grease because that adds a little bit of flavor, but you don't want a lot of it. Now to this, you add one of my favorite ingredients, and people that have come to my spaghetti parties in the past sometimes say they don't even need to look up my house number because they can smell the garlic. So I put an obscene amount of garlic according to my husband, but you just chop it up, about 6 cloves. We've crushed it first. Just take a knife, doesn't matter what size, a big blade works better. We just take this and put it in. You want to add some spices. So what I add, there's a mix called the bruschetta seasoning mix, but you can use any other Italian blend as long as it has oregano and basil. That's really good. I liberally scatter it on, I would say probably 3 or 4 tablespoons, because I want every bite to have a lot of spice in it. And then, believe it or not, it may still need salt and pepper. So I grind a little bit of pepper in and a little bit of salt. And then I leave the salt out on the table for anybody that, you know, deals with their cardiologist about salt, so they can deal with their own demons. But it's looking like it's really thick right now. It's all vegetables and meat and a little bit of tomato sauce, but as this cooks, which you need to cook it for about 2 hours, as it cooks down, the sauce comes out, and it is delicious on top of some spaghetti. There you have it. A plate of Mama Rock spaghetti sauce on top of spaghetti. We've garnished it with a little bit of shaven Parmesan and a little bit of fresh basil from my garden. You can find the recipe for this on feedscv.org, and please follow us on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram, and follow our YouTube channel where you see all of our videos. Just search for feedSCV.
Hey, this is Alexis Shahin, and we're getting ready to make raspberry cheesecake with ginger snap crust. This cheesecake is simple, yet surprisingly delicious, and it's sure to be a favorite amongst all your friends and family. When making cheesecake, it's important that you plan ahead. Cheesecake requires chilling overnight. This ensures that the cake will be firm to a proper texture, so that when you go to slice the cake, you get perfect slices. Let's begin by measuring out all of our ingredients. You will need 2 cups of ground ginger snap cookies, 6 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter, 5 8-ounce packages of regular cream cheese, 2 cups of granulated sugar, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 7 large eggs, 3 cups of sour cream, 2 tablespoons of lemon zest, and 2 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Let's prepare the crust. To grind the cookies, you can do this either by machine or you can do this by hand. I'm going to show you the old-fashioned way and do it by hand. You might see recipes with graham cracker crusts, and sometimes there's other cookies or nuts involved. This recipe uses ginger snap. You want to take your cookies and enclose them into a heavy-duty resealable plastic bag. Ginger is such a wonderful flavor during the winter time, and it, in my opinion, makes the best tasting crusts. Pass a rolling pin over them until they're evenly crushed into the desired coarseness. These crusts are really simple to make because they don't involve preparing or rolling out dough. Stir the cookie crumbs and melted butter in a medium-sized bowl until evenly moistened. Prepare a 9-inch round cake pan by lining it with parchment paper and then spraying it with nonstick cooking spray. Pour your crumb mixture into the pan and then lightly press the crumbs down until it's firm and even in texture and thickness. Be sure not to let the crumbs move up the sides of the pan. Go for something that feels really even in texture and thickness so that you have a nice, beautiful looking crust when you're done. Bake the crust until it's deep golden brown. This should take about 12 minutes. Another mindful way to know when your crust is finished baking is to pay attention to your sense of smell. When you start to notice that rich aroma of the cooked ginger snap cookies and the browned butter, it will fill your kitchen with this beautiful smell. When your crust is done, remove it from the oven and let it cool completely. Next, in a large bowl, using an electric mixer, beat your room temperature cream cheese until smooth and fluffy. This is an important step in the recipe, and it's a practice of patience. Keep the words smooth and fluffy in mind. Let this be your mantra for making perfect cheesecake batter. Gradually beat in the sugar and then the salt. Beat in each egg one at a time. Make sure that you scrape the sides of the bowl down with a spatula frequently so that all the lumps and all the bits from all of your ingredients get mixed in evenly, keeping that smooth, fluffy texture going. Now, beat in what I think is a secret ingredient to making this cheesecake taste the best: sour cream. Then pour in your lemon juice and your lemon zest. Now, scrape down the sides of your mixing bowl one more time. Be sure to get all the little bits that are stuck to the paddle as well. Let it mix for another 3 to 5 minutes. Pour this filling into the crust. Now place the cake pan into a larger pan. This can be a roasting pan, or you can use a larger cake pan like I have. Place both pans into your preheated oven and then pour enough water into the roasting pan until it comes about halfway up the size of your cake pan. This should take about an hour to 1 hour and 25 minutes. Bake your cake until the filling is slightly puffed and it jiggles only slightly when the pan is shaken gently. Remove your cheesecake from the water bath and then let the cake cool in the pan for about 2 hours or more. Chill your cake in the refrigerator overnight. To remove the cake from the pan, using a large spatula, cut around the pan sides to loosen the cake. Using a cardboard cake circle, place it on top of your cake, flip the pan, and voila. Your cake should slide out pretty easily. If it doesn't, using a blowtorch or maybe the heat from your stovetop, Just warm the bottom of the pan a little bit to help the cake slide out with ease. Now begin to portion your cake. You can get up to 16 servings with this recipe. Garnish your cake with raspberries. I like to take fresh berry compote and use it to help the raspberries stick to the top of the cake. I cannot wait to taste this cake. I'm sure it's going to be so good. Let's have a bite. Thank you so much for joining me. I think that piece of mine should be a piece of cake. I hope that this tutorial has brought you some joy and has inspired you to get into the kitchen and make something wonderful. See you next time.
Oh, hey there! Tamra here. Are you ready for some more tips and tricks in the kitchen? Hi, Tamra Levine here, Director of Catering at Salt Creek Grill, owner, chef, and event stylist of Heritage Lane Productions. I'm so excited to be here with you today for tips and tricks in the kitchen. Let's get started. Today we're going to talk about how to hold the knife and what your hands are going to do. So here on our diagram you can see that there's a chef's knife up here and 4 basic grips, 3 of which you're primarily going to be choosing one from. And how you're going to choose that one is going to depend upon which one is most comfortable for you. So let's talk about the 4 basic grips that you're going to use when you're cooking in the kitchen. The first 3 are going to be basically on your chef's knife. Which one you choose is going to depend on how comfortable the grip is in your hand. So we have first grip, 4 fingers around the handle, thumb on top of the spine. The second grip, 4 fingers around the handle, thumb on one side of the blade. 3 fingers around, 4 fingers on the front of the blade, thumbs on the back of the blade, kind of right in front of the bolster. I think for me this one is the most comfortable, although depending upon what I'm cutting and what I'm doing, I might go back and forth between thumb on top of the blade and fingers on the sides of the blade. So what about that 4th grip? Well, the 4th grip is reserved for your boning knife. And this is when a knife is held vertically. The boning knife is going to be utilized when you're trying to cut in between the flesh of your product and the bone. Picture trying to do a fabrication of your chicken or your fish, and you've got that wrist motion and the blade is going in between bone and the flesh. So that's when you're going to be using this kind of grip. You're going to grip all the way around the handle, almost like making a fist. The action comes from your wrist, and imagine that I have a chicken and I'm going in between the bone and the flesh, and I'm just going to be wrist motion coming through, a lot of point, or I might be coming around something, coming all the way through, but it's all going to be there in your wrist. Okay, so we've got our grips down. Let's talk about the other hand, and this is what we're going to call the guide hand for the grip. And so I'm going to just kind of demonstrate here with our mushroom. With a paring knife, I want to get rid of this, the stem. All right, product down on the cutting board. I put my knife point in at an angle. I rotate my product as I rotate the knife around, and zoop, comes right off. All right. So my guide hand is going to stabilize my food product. Whether I want to do slices, whether I want to do dices, all the way small to the smallest of brunoise, I am going to gripping the knife. My most comfortable position is with my thumb and forefinger on either side of the blade. With my guide hand in a bear claw position, this side of the blade is going to rest right up against my knuckles. I'm going to start off making just strips, and I'm pushing the product forward with my thumb, going backwards also with my bear claw, and you can see, woo, down goes the mushroom. You can see that I can vary how much product I have coming out from my bear claw fingers to the knife blade, and that will determine the narrow or the how wide my product is going to be. So here we go for that. So let's say I want to go on to a dice. So we'll take the portobello mushroom. I want to slice it to be a little bit thinner. So here I go. And then I can rotate this over, and again, I can make more strips. And I think I want to do my first strip about half as wide as the mushroom is. I guide with my finger. And then again, if I want to go large dice, small dice, medium dice, and all along it's my fingers that are moving to control the size of the product. Now suppose I want to do the really, really teeny brunoise. Well, this is going to be a little bit harder to do with holding onto all your product because we're all going to be working with such small pieces here. But I want to do a really, really thin strip here. And when I come back, this is a better piece to demo with, I want to cut this even more in half, still holding my product to make sure that it doesn't slide. And then I come back and really, really teeny, I'm not even going to move for this one. And there we have the teeniest of teeny, we have a brunoise. So that's my guide hand and my claw posturing with that. Let's just move this all off to the side. We'll have to cook something good with that later. Okay, so there we have some tips and tricks with all of our tools that we're going to use in the kitchen. I've got some portobello mushroom. I think I'm going to saute it up on top of my burger tonight.
Hey, I'm Todd Wilson,
And I'm Scott Irvin.
and we are the co-founders of feedSCV. Our mission at feedSCV is to make sure that everyone in the Santa Clarita Valley has the access, the knowledge, and the skills to make a healthy meal at home every day.
And we do that in several different ways, teaching people how to make their own food, dietary suggestions. That quickly grew into other areas.
We soon recognized that there was a need in the community for having access to food. So we've taken part of our operation and now we work to put food in the kids' backpacks on the weekend so that they can take it home and have a healthy meal.
One of the other things that we've done is respond to local disasters. And we've been able to organize our volunteers to make some food, get some money together to help out the victims and evacuees in some cases. As a nonprofit, of course, we need support. You can visit us at feedscv.org and participate in a number of different events that we have and social media as well.
Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2021. We made it. We made it through 2020. My name is Monisha, and I am here this morning to teach you guys how to make one of our family favorites. It's a date and tomato chutney. It is one of the wonderful recipes that is in my mother's new cookbook, which highlights Southern Indian cooking. Easy to put together, it's versatile. You can use it in sandwiches, you can use it just on its own on a charcuterie board, however you want. But like I said, easy and quick. So here we go. First things first, tomato and dates, two of the chief ingredients in here. First thing we start with is the cutting up of tomatoes. So just going ahead to dice the tomatoes, or actually just do a rough chop of the tomatoes. And I have already got a bunch of tomatoes that I went ahead and cut up. So here we go, they're right here. So all the Roma tomatoes that I've cut up. And then here are the dates, same thing. We are going to dice these guys up into little small pieces like that. So they'll have some texture in the dish. They'll break down a fair amount. So we also have some fennel seed, half a cup of diced onion. We have some ginger that I've minced up, chili powder, just a touch, and you can adjust it, white vinegar, and the salt as well. So here we go. We are going to start cooking. Put your stove on medium heat. Once the pan is hot, you're going to add maybe about 2 or 3 teaspoons worth of oil. We're going to bring that up to heat. And then we're going to bloom our first ingredient, which is the fennel seed. And we're just going to go ahead and add it in the oil. We're going to wait till they pop. That's how you know that they have bloomed. What's blooming is just you are releasing their natural oils, and their flavor is just heightened by just another level. So once those are starting to pop, we are going to add our onion. We're going to cook these onions down till they're about just a little bit brown. You don't want them to go too much. You just want them to get a little bit of color. The next ingredient that we're going to add into our pan is the ginger. Okay, so now our ginger and onion has cooked down. We're going to add the tomatoes. There's the tomatoes. We're going to add the base as well. Some white vinegar. Some chili powder. Again, you can adjust the heat to your liking. And just a couple of grindings of salt. So again, you want to stir this well, get all the ingredients incorporated. And now this mixture is going to get cooked down on medium heat for about 20 to 30 minutes. All right, guys, so right now, this is about the halfway point. You can see that the tomatoes have broken down. It's bubbling away. The dates are starting to break down, and it's all becoming one dish, okay? The finished product, and you can see it's a delicious, dark, gorgeous chutney, and it is sweet and tangy and hot, and it's just a wonderful marriage of different flavors. I don't know if you can see this little bit of oil that's built up on top. This is normal, and it is a good thing because it helps with the preservation. So just in case you're not going to eat all of this in one sitting, you will probably want to put it in some airtight jars. It will keep in the refrigerator for 2 weeks. So how do we enjoy this beautiful chutney? We have it as part of our charcuterie board with some crackers and cheese, fruit and nuts. And then here I made some corn fritters yesterday, and they pair really, really well with this chutney. And then here we also have it on our hamburger. Try this as part of your that's some part of your meal. I think it would be a delicious addition to your table. And once again, this is Monisha, and I thank you for joining me, and I wish you all a happy, wonderful, prosperous 2021. Thank you.
Okay, technical difficulties here. I think the blade is not on tight. Did you take the towel? Oh, here it is. Let's try this again. There's your outtake. Was working before. Thank you very much. The magic of Uncle Scott. Okay, maybe it's just the zucchini.